She gave me very little. And therefore I'm crying. And she did not give me, but she gave me to everyone else. So that's her complaint. So I took my plate, what a plate I had. I said, Mataji, in my plate there is some upma, khichdi and salad. You please take it. No, Prabhu, it's yours. And I said, I'm fine. We are 3 members, we have come. Each one has got a plate. We'll share at home. So you take my plate. And you should see how happily she took that plate. And then she walked away. So this tells us how people, guests or devotees come to our temple and what attracts them and how Radha Vallabha inspires a person to come to the temple. And hence we should be very careful in how we serve our guests and how we look after our community or how we embrace our community. There are some devotees, I feel so sad, who have served our temple, senior devotees, so much, but they became disillusioned and almost left the temple. Now they don't turn up. They have done so much of service in Crossways, they have done so many, they have hosted programs as Bhakti Vriksha, and today they themselves have left our temple. And when I asked one particular family, the family says that we are unwanted in our temple. So I said there is something wrong in the way in which we are looking after our community. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says that one needs to shed a ton of blood to make one devotee. And here is a wonderful couple who have taken even Diksha, but they became disillusioned and moved away from temple. Today they don't come to temple, they don't do service in the temple, they don't mix with the devotees. And when I ask them, they simply say, Prabhu, we are chanting at home, couple of rounds, but it's okay, we are happy. So what I'm trying to, these are the practical 2 examples I've seen in our own temple. So therefore, when we are serving prasadam or when we see the devotees, it's not that I say Haribol only to my God brothers, my God sisters, or somebody from my place, my language. If that's the case, then we are still on the material platform, we are not on the spiritual platform. And how do we develop rati, that what this verse is saying? How do we develop attachment to Krishna when my vision is only material still? And therefore Prabhupada says that one should read Krishna book regularly. And that was the first book introduced by Srila Prabhupada in ISKCON. And Prabhupada says, read Krishna book, and if you have read it, reread it, and read it again. So therefore, that elevates our consciousness. And before going to sleep, if one can read, then in that consciousness we sleep, then in the morning when we get up, our still our hairs are still chanting Krishna. And this is once again a wonderful experience these days we have. When I do 9 o'clock Gaur Arati, we have our wonderful devotee, Harita Madhavi Mataji. And when she comes, she does the key. These days, most of the days seems to be doing, because I do on Monday and Friday. So I see her, and she makes everyone, she says that on the left, far left are the Gauranitai, they are none different from Krishna and Balram. So when I say Nityananda, you say Gauranga. And when I say Gauranga, you say Nityananda. And she keeps saying Nityananda, Gauranga, Gauranga, Nityananda. And I'm on the altar, I'm also repeating that. And I'm driving back home, I repeat that. And sleeping, I repeat. And sometimes in morning, I get up, Gauranga, Nityananda, Nityananda, Gauranga. I said, what a wonderful experience Mataji is trying to facilitate to everyone. And I told Mataji, thank you Mataji for making us chant so wonderfully. So therefore, as Prabhupada says that this is the way how we can elevate our consciousness from the material mode, lower emotions to a higher emotion. And in 7.7, so therefore Prabhupada says, the verse says, by these activities as mentioned above, one is able to cut down. So what are the text 29 of the different processes recommended, 7.29, of the different process recommended for disentanglement from material life, the one personally explained and accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be considered all perfect. That process is the performance of duties by which love for the Supreme Lord develops. So we should perform such activities by which we are able to move closer to Krishna. Or by our activities, are we able to please Krishna? If the activities can please Krishna, then we perform that activity. If the activity does not please Krishna, then we do not perform that activity. Then the next two verses, 30 and 31, which Srila Prabhupada is quoting here. One must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. With great devotion and faith, whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master, and in the association of saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord. Hear the glories of the Lord with faith. Glorify the transcendental qualities and act of the Lord. Always meditate on the Lord's lotus feet and worship the deity of the Lord strictly according to the injunctions of Shastra and Guru. So what do we learn from here? That one must accept a bona fide spiritual master in order to move forward in Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he says that as mentioned verses 30 and 31, one's first duty is to approach the spiritual master, the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to begin rendering service to him. So that's the first step in our journey, and if we can do that and follow strictly what our spiritual master is saying, then gradually we move on this path. We become Krishna conscious according to the sincerity and practice we can display. And what a wonderful institution Srila Prabhupada has created, that if you are outside ISKCON, and if somebody has to read this verse, it says he needs to approach a spiritual master. Where do I find such a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord? How do we know that that person is going to guide me properly on this journey? Even that aspect has been facilitated to us by Srila Prabhupada. You simply hear few speakers in ISKCON, and someone who is inspiring you, you can take that person as your spiritual master and start rendering service. In fact, Bodhijana Prabhu, in his book, My Glorious Master, he says that actually one should not wait to identify and choose a spiritual master. The moment you find, you hear or you see a bona fide spiritual master, immediately you should surrender, because you are in a sinking boat. You are not sure when the boat is going to sink and you are going to get drowned. So therefore, do not wait for it. The moment you see a bona fide spiritual master, surrender, take shelter, do service, and progress on this path. And Srila Prabhupada has already given the mood and mission for ISKCON. So therefore, that is the instruction for everyone. And if one is fortunate, may over and above that, your spiritual master may give you some specific instruction. But the general governing principle in ISKCON is the mood and mission of ISKCON or Srila Prabhupada, and that's the guiding principle for everyone. I think repeatedly I've said in my earlier sessions also that in Bombay, especially in, I'm sorry if somebody is a Marwadi or a Gujarati here, typically a Marwadi family, if the grandfather was selling dabbas, boxes, the son also sells the boxes, and the grandchild also continues to sell the same boxes. It's not the person deviates from the selling those boxes. So you think that my grandfather is a dabbawala, my father is a dabbawala, I'm a dabbawala, and my child is also going to be a dabbawala. And this is the mission Srila Prabhupada has given to us, that you become Krishna conscious and share Krishna consciousness with others. This is the mission of ISKCON. And today Mataji was saying, Macha Mata was saying that because of the Purushottam month, every day during this month, between 6:30, or starting at 6:30 from Crossways, there's a Harinam. So therefore Mataji said, please tell everyone that they can take the opportunity to enrich themselves in Krishna consciousness by participating in this holy Harinam in this holy month. So therefore, Prabhupada continues, propose that from the very beginning of life, Kaumaram Achared Prajna, a small child should be trained to serve the spiritual master while living at the Gurukul. So we find that our young, beautiful children here, they are being engaged in Krishna consciousness. It's so wonderful that parents, not only they are moving forward on this journey, but they are facilitating this to young kids. And this statement is so potent, this statement is so valid, which we can experience in our own life. I came to Krishna consciousness, or I came in contact with ISKCON much later in my life. I saw Srila Prabhupada giving a Pandal program in Hyderabad, 1974 or 75. But it took me 1998, almost 24 years have gone in between for me to become serious in Krishna consciousness. So the seed sown by Srila Prabhupada in the Pandal program that matured, I won't say completely, but some amount of sprouting has taken place, and therefore since 1998 I am attached to Krishna. But we find that today young children, and including at home, when I say Nishkulin or Ladli, we call her at home, she may be crying, but the moment I show her Krishna book, says Krishna, Jojo, Jojo, she immediately stops crying and she starts saying Jojo. So what it means that what Prabhupada is saying, that a small child should be trained to serve spiritual master. And therefore here when you introduce Krishna consciousness at a very young age and you train the child, which many parents are doing homeschooling, so they are giving that focused understanding of Krishna consciousness, then the child becomes Brahmachari Gurukule Vasan Danto Gurur Hitam. Is that okay? Did you lose anything? Yeah, this is the beginning of spiritual life. Gurukule Vasan Danto Gurur Hitam. There Prabhupada quotes that Guru Padashraya, taking the shelter of the spiritual master, then Sadhu Vartamanu Vartanam. What is Sadhu Vartamana Vartanam? Yeah, treading the path of previous acharyas. So the best way to search, there's a quote here, the best way to search for the truth is to follow the path that has previously been gone over by saintly persons and devotees, and by which they have attained the supreme goal of life. I'm not reading the Sanskrit part. Such a path is always free from all kinds of obstacles and hindrances to our progress, and by following it, one very quickly attains the desired result. And Srila Prabhupada in 7.9.18 says, by following the footsteps of the great acharyas, one associates with the hamsas or paramahamsas, those who are completely freed from material contamination. Indeed, by following the instruction of the acharyas, one is always freed from all material contamination, and thus one's life becomes successful, for one reaches the goal of life. And Madhya Leela 17.186 talks about Mahajano ena gata sapanta, that one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajanas advocate. And then Sadharma Pracha. What is Sadharma Pracha? It is inquiring from the spiritual master. It is important that one should humbly approach and inquire from the spiritual master. And we find that this even Vyasadeva does to Sri Narada Mahamuni. He asked Narada Mahamuni's guru that how did he become Narada itself. In first canto, I think, Bhagavatam, it appears. So therefore, we should ask, submissively inquire from the spiritual master, and spiritual master, being kind and compassionate, happy with the service rendered by the disciple, he reveals his heart. This is the process which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter. By following the instructions of the Guru and the Shastra, the disciple attains the stage of devotional service and becomes unattached to possessions. So because he gives himself completely to the spiritual master, he becomes automatically detached from matter, which is one that ritual we conduct regularly in the altar that facilitates us to detach from matter. What is that ritual we do? Anyone? We perform a ritual every day in the temple, and that ritual is performed in all the temples. Arati. Because what is the meaning of Arati? It is offering creation to the Creator. That's the meaning of Arati. Every item we offer, whether it is dhupam, or whether it is kerchief, or whether it is deepam, or anything we do, it's a creation of the Lord. So therefore we are saying, the whole Lord, this is your creation, and we are offering it back to you. And with this consciousness we participate in Arati, then that should facilitate us to become detached from matter, because we understand, well, this is not ours, this is not mine, this is Krishna's. So therefore this should be engaged in Krishna's service. So when that happens, whatever he offers to the spiritual master, the Guru, who engages him in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, the disciple follows strictly and in this way learns how to control his senses. Then by using his pure intelligence, he gradually becomes a lover of Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami, Adhava Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha. So the steps. In this way, one's life becomes perfect and the attachment for Krishna becomes positively manifested. In that stage, he is situated in ecstasy, experiencing bhava and anubhava, as explained in the following verse. So the bodily symptoms which are manifested by a devotee in expressing ecstatic love for Krishna are called the anubhavas. So whatever symptoms a person displays in the ecstasy of the Supreme Lord are called the anubhav. And what are the symptoms which are shown, bodily symptoms shown by such a wonderful devotee? That is singing very loudly, stretching the body, crying loudly, yawning, breathing very heavily, neglecting the presence of others, drooling, laughing like a madman, wheeling the head and belching. When there's an extraordinary excess of ecstatic love, with all these bodily symptoms manifested, one feels relieved transcendently. So these are some of the symptoms shown by a devotee who is on that platform. So, summarizing this verse, we find that Srila Prabhupada tells us that the way to get over the sadvargais, that kama, krodha, mada, moha, acharya, is not by any yogic process or by any mechanical process, but by taking to Krishna consciousness. And to take to Krishna consciousness, the process is to surrender to a spiritual master and serve the spiritual master sincerely. By sincerely serving the spiritual master, who is a representative of the Supreme Lord, one progresses on this journey and attains rati, or the love of Godhead. And I can give, I think we're all examples of this, because by engaging our senses in Krishna consciousness, we don't go to a movie. Anyone has seen a movie? You have seen? Wonderful. I think my last movie I've seen was 1996, before coming to Krishna consciousness. That was my last. After coming to Krishna consciousness, I have not seen a movie. After going to a hotel or a general restaurant was before 1996. After 96, I've never visited a restaurant which is not connected to ISKCON. So and I'm sure this is the case with most of the devotees. And we don't take anything which is not offered to Krishna. In fact, we don't, even if it is a vegetarian stuff, we don't buy the items from outside and offer to our deities, because we want to offer only those items which have been cooked by devotees, but otherwise we don't touch. And all this shows that we are getting gradually purified, and we are becoming above the lower emotions of the kama, krodha, mada, moha, acharya. So the process is working. And since the process is working, we should share this process with others. And the more we can share with others, the quicker one progresses on this journey. Yeah, we can discuss a lot about this on this verse, but at this stage we'll stop, and if any questions, any comments from anyone. Maybe we'll ask Prana Prabhu to comment, because he has been a Gurukula teacher, and this verse talks about the Gurukula and how the students are trained in Gurukula. Prabhu can share with us his experience.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is one of the guiding principles, the Brahmachari Gurukule Vasandanto, Guruhotam, of our education system, and it might take many hours to discuss or unpack this important verse and instruction, but what Prabhu has said, that these children here are so fortunate because they're not in a traditional Gurukul setting, but they're in Srila Prabhupada's institution. It is a Gurukul. it's Srila Prabhupada's kula. This is Srila Prabhupada's family that he established in this institution, that everybody who comes here, whether they're 5 years old or whether they're 55 years old, has access to the process, as we've been discussing in class. Guru Parashraya, to take shelter of the senior devotees, the spiritual master, Shiksha Gurus, Diksha Gurus, and to learn to control the senses. The first thing it says in the Brahmachari Gurukula is Vasandanto Guruhitam. To go to stay in the ashram of the Guru, to stay in the temple of Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON, and learn to control the senses and to do things which are pleasing to Prabhupada, Guruhitam, and Prabhupada's followers. That is what we're training to do here as adults and what we're training to do as children. And therefore, it should be encouraged that more children come and hear and participate in all the activities of the temple, as much as practical, because sometimes there's some discussion, or they shouldn't come, they should do other things, they should go straight to school or whatever. But Prabhupada really encouraged, the most thing he encouraged in Gurukul was that the children follow the full program. It's very difficult to do, but we have some examples here in the temple. It's possible to make some adjustments. And it's difficult for people living far away, of course, you can't do it. But then you do it in your home. So every home becomes an ashram, a shelter, exactly like you're discussing. Everything is offered to Krishna at home. We're trained to take Krishna Prasad, and we're trained not to engage in frivolous activities. And in that way the mind becomes controlled. The senses become controlled and the mind becomes steady. And intelligence becomes sharp. We see that the children have a very sharp intelligence, and they're able to articulate their experiences, their realizations, and their inquiries in a very, you can say, mature way for young children, because they're having this association of the morning program and the senior devotees who are giving the pravachan. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki
jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhuji, you mentioned how some devotees leave Krishna consciousness. They say that they're unwanted. So what can we do to make them feel that they are wanted in Krishna consciousness, like we're doing Bhaktivedanta for people, we're doing books?
Yeah, it's a very practical question, and how do we do that? That we need to open out our own heart, and we should be alert to the situation, what's happening in the temple. And if we don't see a devotee who comes regularly but suddenly has not shown up, pick up the phone, give a call, find out why the person has not turned up. I'll give a story on this line. I believe it has happened, the real incident, that it was an office where the CEO of that organization, every day he was the last person to leave. And after he leaves, the security guard closes his door. And that CEO, before leaving, he comes to the security guard, taps on his shoulders, spends a minute or two, and then leaves the place. And on that particular day, the CEO was trapped within the office, and there was a fire in that building. And everyone has left. The security guard has seen that every day the CEO comes and taps on me, but today he has not tapped on me. Maybe he's trapped inside. So therefore, he calls the fire brigade and he rushes into the building, and there he sees that the CEO was pitched at a corner and is surrounded by the fire. He manages to pull him out of the fire and rescues him. So that simple incident, or that simple courtesy of the CEO every day as he leaves the organization to tap on the shoulder security guard has protected him, how the person reciprocates security guard. So similarly, we find that someone whom we meet regularly or someone we see in the temple is sitting alone. Our first job is to, okay, if I'm having prasadam, let me go and sit with the person and chit-chat, taking prasadam. Spend some time. And if anyone whom you see that person has not turned up, when person turns up regularly, pick up a phone, give a call. And if needed, if you can make it or facilitate, go and visit the person and see what is happening, what can be done. And this is what we tried. I did, I'm not saying I'm boasting, but I've done this to that family. And that's how I've come to know that the family said, no, Prabhu, somehow we feel we are unwanted, and therefore they have stopped coming. So we should all go out of the way to such people to see that their hearts are touched, their hearts are inspired to stay afloat on this journey. Because so long one person stays on this journey, maybe one may reach slowly or one may reach quickly to the eternal destination, but one will eventually reach the destiny of Krishna, love for Krishna. But if one falls out of this boat, then we do not know how many lifetimes the person will take to come back to this journey. So therefore, I think we should be alert to what is happening in the temple and give what best we can. If we can't do, at least alert the authorities. And I did alert the authority. I approached their spiritual master and told the spiritual master, this is what is happening. And spiritual master knew about it. So we do our part so that pleases Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Beautiful class. Yeah, and now you said that because we can try our best, but at last we all know Rakhe Krishna, Mare Krishna, Rakhe. So at the temple I see most devotees are beautiful, but we can't accept Ethiopia because we are all patients. So initiated devotees, if they are not coming, we can try our best, but finally Krishna knows what their deep desire in their heart, right? And it's not we are coming here not for our friends, our relatives, no. You can be very bad to me, I'm going to stop? No, I'm coming for Krishna, right? I'm going to serve Krishna. Whoever comes, I will serve. We had to look for an opportunity. This person was very nice to me. He's treating me very bad. It's his consciousness and what he knows about me, right? So that initiated devotee, and if they are chanting a couple of rounds now, our goal is to serve Prabhupada, not serve us, right? He says the Krishna consciousness movement is my body, you are all my limbs. So if we remember this word, we wouldn't stop coming here. That means we are in the center, not Prabhupada, not Krishna. Right.
It is at different levels one can understand. Possibly their family may have committed Vaishnava para, so therefore they have lost the taste in the sweet words. Yeah. But equally, like the other girl who's in teenage, she comes to temple for the sake of upma, and then that inspires her to take to Krishna consciousness. So there are some devotees who were inspired to come to temple to take to Krishna consciousness, and when the connecting devotees have disappeared from the scene, then that family feels left out. There's a vacuum for them, there's a gap for them. And to fill up that gap, somebody should step in at the appropriate time to give them that emotional strength required to continue on this journey.
And serving prasadam also, that Acharya Mataji has given us, distribute equally, right? When they come with the box, the girl mustn't have told all they come with the box packing for work, right? So people say, I know there people can say, packing at last, they will be left over, you come. But we don't know they are coming just for upuma, we don't know. But we have to treat equally. And sometimes things happen. It is also finally, Rake Krishna Mari. People, when they distribute prasadam, and that was the person, I was the person distributing the prasadam, I was the person, I was giving, and I was giving out, because always people let me do prasadam, because even the Sevya Bhagavan Prabhu knows that when I distribute prasadam, I equally do that, equally. Prabhupada say equally distribute, because some people you give more and at the end people don't get upuma. So I was going to make sure, take anything you want for the packing, come at last, I will give you more. But after that I was looking for her, there was leftover, she wasn't there, she was down, I heard that she was crying. So I didn't know whether she is 21 or 31, because they look the same, 21 and 31, I don't know. But she looked like an adult, so I said, she brought a box for packing. I said, packing not now, come at last. So that was me, sorry.
Anyway, because now that you have come out, because I've asked Mataji, who distributed the prasad? She said, Macha Mataji. So it means that she is a regular person to the temple. Now, how we respond is, it is said, there's a saying in Telugu, in local language, must be true in every case. If our gesture is harsh, we cannot make the person to take even amritam, nectar. But if our gesture is sweet, we can make the other person take even poison. So it's not just the item which we are, I'm not saying anything against you, Mataji. What I'm saying is, our body language, the way we show that the other person should feel the genuineness, the heart, our emotions, positive emotions, then the person responds positively. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, it's like that how much attachment we have Krishna, that much detachment we'll have this one. So we won't know even, we are not Krishna. But very nicely I said that, come, there will be leftover, come at last, I will give you more. Now if I give you, I cannot give you. I can give you more, come at last. I told very nicely, I don't know why. But it is usually I distribute really, I don't know what happened. But it's finally we can say Krishna sir, and maybe I'm getting purified. I learned also next time I had to be more careful. But
I'll put it this way, Mataji, that plate of prasadam was not meant for me. We say that dane dhane pe likha hai, khane walon ka naam. On every grain, the person's name is written. So when I took the prasadam, came out, Krishna said, well, it is not your turn. The prasadam should go to that Mataji. And therefore, he inspired me to stay back, turn around, and then said, talk to her and share the prasadam. So therefore,
and last time Keshava Prabhu in class, he said, one Mataji, she was not a devotee, but she served a good devotee and she went back to spiritual world. So now she is going to think about with this Matsya Mataji. If there is any purification, maybe she will get that too. Maybe it's Krishna's arrangement, who knows. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol Ma, thank you. Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha kalpa tarobhischa kripa sindubhya evacha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Thank you, Prana Prabhu, for your lovely comments.
Very lovely class. I like the example of your granddaughter.